Hey, Andrew Hubbard here, and in this video I'm going to show you the best Facebook lookalike audiences to use for low-cost leads and the best return on your ad spend, and I'm going to show you step-by-step how to set each one of them up. Now, if you haven't done it already, please give this video a like, hit the subscribe button, and click that little bell to get notified whenever I release a new video on Facebook advertising or digital marketing. Facebook lookalike audiences are the most effective way to target cold traffic, and that's because we're leveraging the power of all of Facebook's data that it has on its users. A lookalike audience is simply a group of people that are similar to an audience that you provide to Facebook. Let's say you have 1,000 leads already. You can give that list of people who are already leads to Facebook and tell Facebook, hey, I want you to look at this list and go and find me 2 million people who are very similar to this list. Facebook will then use its data to go out and match up and find people who are similar to your existing leads that you just provided it, and it will bring you back a lookalike audience containing those 2 million people who are very, very similar. It uses all of the data available to do that matching, which makes it a very powerful way to find those people who are very similar to your existing audience already. Imagine doing that with a customer list, which is one of the things I'm actually going to show you how to do in this video. Which leads me to what you actually need in order to start using lookalike audiences. Basically, the only thing you need is that seed audience. You need what's called a custom audience that contains at least 100 people in order to use that as a seed for your lookalike. Now, a custom audience is simply a list of people that meet a set of parameters that you specify. For example, people who've visited your website, or people who've watched a video of yours on Facebook, or people who've engaged with your Facebook page, or it's an email list that you've uploaded directly to Facebook. Now, I said you need at least 100 people. That is the minimum that Facebook specifies, but I highly recommend you have at least 500 people in your custom audience before you use it to create a lookalike. And the reason I say that is because, as I just described, Facebook takes that custom audience that you provide, that list, and it goes and uses it for matching to build your lookalike. Now, obviously, the bigger that custom audience is, the more data that you're giving Facebook, the more accurate that lookalike is going to be in finding people similar to the ones in your custom audience. So if we only have 100 people in the custom audience, Facebook doesn't have a whole lot of data to work with, and so your lookalike audience isn't going to be that strong. If you've got, let's say, 10,000 people in the custom audience, in comparison, that's going to be a very strong lookalike because it's got 10,000 different people it can use as data points to go and match up for the lookalike, okay? So I recommend, as I said, at least 500 people in a custom audience before you go and use it to create a lookalike. So what is the best lookalike to use? Well, that's a pretty simple one. The best lookalike and the ideal lookalike audience is one based on your customers. And there are two ways to do this. So you can go ahead and export all of your customers from your email tool, whether it's ActiveCampaign, Infusionsoft, whatever you use. You can export that customer list, upload it into Facebook, and instantly give Facebook a custom audience based on your existing customers that it can use to create a lookalike. The other way to do it is to create what's called a website custom audience, which is a custom audience that contains everybody who's visited a specific web page. And you can put in the thank you page or the confirmation page that your customers see after completing an order. So you can say, I want everybody who's completed a purchase, and I know they've done that because they've visited this particular URL in the last 180 days, to go into a custom audience. You can build that website custom audience, and then you can go and create a lookalike audience off of it. Now, the downside to that way of doing it is your custom audiences can only go back, or your website custom audiences, I should say, can only go back 180 days, meaning you only have 180 days worth of customer data in that custom audience compared to the entire email database of customers that you export. So just something to think about there. Ideally, if you can export the email list, that's the best way to do it. So that's the best list you can use as a seed for your lookalike. Okay, a lookalike based on customers is the most effective lookalike you can go and create. Now, what happens if you don't have that? Well, I just go through a very simple process of moving up the funnel. So if a purchase is at the bottom of your sales process or sales funnel, but you don't have that 500 customer list just yet, you simply move one step up the funnel. So the next step up is everybody who's added an item to the cart or hit your checkout page. Okay, so you might then be able to say, well, I don't have enough customers, but I do have enough people who've added an item to the shopping cart or who visited my checkout page, and I'm going to create a lookalike based on that. What if you don't have that? Well, you move further up and you might say everybody who's visited a product or sales page, I can use them to create a custom audience and then use that as the basis for my lookalike. Moving up from those product page visitors or sales page visitors, you probably got all of your leads, okay? All leads, you can export those into a custom audience or use a website custom audience to create a lookalike based on your leads. And then above that, you've got your website visitors. And then above that, you've got people like video viewers and engagers on Facebook and Instagram. So you just keep moving up until you find that point where you've got at least 500 people to create your lookalike. And then as you start to go through and run ads for a little while, you'll start to get more customers and you can start moving back down the funnel and creating new lookalikes as you get more people hitting your checkout pages, adding things to your cart, and then buying and becoming customers. So you can create those better and stronger lookalikes as your business grows and as you start to get more sales. All right, so let's jump over to the ad manager now and look at how we set these up. So once we're in the Facebook ad manager, the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to the audiences tab. So you click up here on the menu and you can go audiences. Mine's here as a shortcut. If you don't see it, scroll down to audiences just here and click on audiences. So I'm going to show you first as an example how to do it with a customer list. So step one of this is to go and create So the first thing that you're going to need to do is create they're going to base your lookalike audience off. So the first thing you're going to want to do here is create your custom audience that you're going to base your lookalike audience off. So what we want to do is click create audience and click custom audience. Now, I'm going to show you an example with a customer list. So this is the case where we've exported an email list and we're going to upload that to Facebook. So I click customer list and I can go down here and hit next. And then does it include a column for customer value? Now what this means is if you know the value of each of your customers and how much money they spend and can export that from your email tool, then that's great. You should absolutely export that. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. But if you do have that value, Facebook can actually then take that, look at the value of each customer, and it can create a lookalike based off the highest value customers, not just customers. So that's an even more powerful lookalike if you have that value. If you have it, great. If not, just tick no. So I'm going to say no for this one. Now, all we need to do is get our list, so in a CSV or text format. So go to ActiveCampaign, Infusionsoft, ConvertKit, whatever tool you use. I use ActiveCampaign personally. Export your list of customers only into a CSV file, and then you just come and drop it here. So I've just dragged my list here, all customers in, and you can give it a name. So I'm going to say all customers. Email list export, and I'm going to click next. So now on this screen, it's very important here that we match as many fields as we possibly can. So you can see in the mapped section, that shows fields that Facebook has already mapped on its own. So Facebook has figured out, okay, this email field maps to our email on Facebook, and this phone number field in the CSV that you just gave me maps to the phone number field in Facebook. But over here, we've got action needed 30. Facebook's saying there, hey, I need a little help. Can you tell me which fields in your CSV file actually match up to what in Facebook? So I'm going to go through and do that now. So you can see here first name. I want to match that to first name in Facebook. So I click first name. And then I've got last name. This is my column in my sheet. And I want to click that and click last name and just telling Facebook what to match it with. If I go down here, I've got empty row, that's fine. And I'm just looking, is there anything else? Country. We're going to match to country. Region. We don't have any specific one for region. So all we're going to do is click upload and create once we map those out. The reason you want to map as many as possible and have as many matched as possible is because Facebook is now taking that CSV file and it's trying to match it up with Facebook users. The more data you can give it in the CSV and the more fields you can match, the higher match rate you get, which means the bigger your custom audience is going to be. Generally, when I upload an email list, I tend to see 60 to 70% of those people in the list getting matched to actual Facebook users. Okay, so we've got that. It says done. We just click done, and now we've got our all customer email list export. To create our lookalike now is actually really simple. We just tick this box, click these three dots here, and click create lookalike. From here, we select the country that we want to target. So we can select multiple countries. So if I want to target people in the United States, Canada, UK, Australia, and let's add New Zealand in there as well. Why not? So we go down here, and here's where we can select our audience size. Now, the reason this is important is because what we're telling Facebook is how many people we want in the lookalike audience and how similar those people will be to our custom audience. So when we choose a 1% lookalike, it's saying I want to create a lookalike that contains people most similar to my lookalike source. If I go higher though, I get a bigger lookalike. You can see it's now 35 million, and if I'm at 1%, it's only, it's only 3.6 million. So I get a bigger lookalike if I go to 10%, but it's less accurate, okay? Because as you go higher, as you go up towards 10%, it's going to give you more people, but they're going to be less of a match to the existing custom audience. So for most cases, starting with a 1% lookalike is a great place to start. You really don't want to go into bigger lookalikes until you feel like you've tapped out that audience. And a 3.6 million person audience is pretty big, so you're not going to tap that out anytime soon. So we simply select the size and click Create Audience. Now, what you're going to see is both of these say below 1,000 and populating. Now, it takes a little bit of time. You need to wait. It can be a few hours. It can be up to 12 hours sometimes before these actually populate. So you want to wait, make sure these populate before you go and start using them. When it's time to start using them, you simply go into an ad set. When you're starting to set it up, in the custom audiences section, you just add your lookalike audience and boom, you're off to the races. So that's how you set up an email list based lookalike. To set up a website visitor based custom audience and use it for a lookalike, let's jump in and see how we do that now. So I'm going to go custom audience again, and this time I'm going to choose website, because what I want to do is create a custom audience that contains everybody who's, let's say, visited my thank you page, so that I know they've bought because they've hit my post-purchase thank you page or my post-purchase confirmation page. And then from there, I'm going to create a lookalike on that. So it's a very similar process. We go website this time. We're going to say people who visited specific pages, and I'm going to set it the longest possible time period, because I want as many customers in this audience as possible so I can have the strongest possible lookalike. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to contain the slug of my URL, the final part of my URL. So mine is thank-u-for- okay. So in this example, when people buy a product from me, they see thank you for purchase. They see andrewhubbard.co/thank you for purchase. So I'm just saying URL contains this. I'm not putting the entire URL in, just the unique portion of it, or the slug, which is the piece after the slash. Okay, now I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to say hit and I'll call it all customers. Hit post purchase thank you page and create that audience. And this part is exactly the same. So we'll take our custom audience, we select it, hit these three buttons, click create lookalike, enter the countries that we want to target, select 1% or whatever percentage we want, most cases 1%. And then boom, we've got our custom audience, okay? So that's how you create a website visitor based lookalike. We create the custom audience first, and then we go and create our lookalike. So if you needed to go up higher in the chain, let's look at one other way to create these custom audiences that we can then use as a base for our lookalikes. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is how to create a lookalike audience based on people who've initiated the checkout but haven't quite finished their purchase. This is for those situations where you might not have enough customers ready to create a custom audience and then a lookalike audience based on your customers. So you want to move up the funnel and create an audience based on people who've initiated the checkout sequence. So we're going to go first, custom audience, and then website. One thing I will note before we finish setting this up is this is dependent on you having conversion tracking set up on your website. So you need the Facebook pixel and conversion tracking set up, and I'll include some links to videos I've created to show you how to do that in the description below. So if you haven't got the pixel set up and conversion tracking set up, it's absolutely essential for this. You need to, after you watch this video, go ahead and look in the description, follow those links, get that all set up so you can go ahead and use these lookalike audiences. So what you need to do here is click on the drop down, and then if you go down to from your events, so you can see here we've got a bunch of different events that I've triggered or that are being used on my account that I can use. So I can click here and go initiate checkout. So then I choose in the past 180 days. Now what I'm telling Facebook is I want this custom audience to contain everybody who's initiated the checkout process in the last 180 days to go into this custom audience. And then I'm just going to call it initiated checkout, and I'm going to hit create audience. Now I've got a brand new custom audience that's going to be populated with, whoops, and I named it wrong, it should be 180 days, but it's going to be populated with everybody who initiated the checkout process in the last 180 days. Fantastic. Then what I can do is I can go ahead and create my lookalike audience based off it. So let me rename this first, done, and then I'm going to simply follow that same process. I'm going to select the audience here, click the drop down, click create lookalike, select my countries, 1%, and click create audience. Now I can go and use that lookalike once it's populated to target a list of similar people to those who have initiated checkout. All right, the final type of lookalike I'm going to show you how to create is one based on your video viewers. This can be quite effective if you do a lot of Facebook Live or a lot of video from your Facebook or Instagram page, and you want to get in front of people who consume a lot of that video content, or people who are similar, I should say, to those who have consumed a lot of that video content. To do that, we go create audience, custom audience, and we choose video down here. Now what this does is it allows me to create a custom audience based on people who've consumed videos on my Facebook page. So I can say, I want to add people who've watched 95% of my videos to this custom audience. Once I have that custom audience, I can then create a lookalike based on that. Now it's obviously not going to be as strong as, let's say, an email list full of leads or people who've initiated the checkout or my customers, but this can be great if you're doing other things like promoting your videos on Facebook. If you've got a custom audience full of people who've watched 95% of your videos in the past and you go and create a lookalike based on that, then you're probably going to get a big audience full of people who are likely to watch your future videos. So another great way to use this. Now what I will do is I will go choose videos and just choose all of the videos on my page, or whatever videos you think are relevant, and then we just click confirm. Again, we can choose a time. Now this type of audience, a video view based audience, can go up to 365 days. Our website visitor audiences only went up to 180, but these have a bigger limit. So you can choose up to 365, and I can say, watch 95%, call it whatever you want, and then hit create audience. Now, we're going to have an audience of people who've watched at least 95% of one of those videos I selected in the last year. Now I can select that, boom, hit create lookalike, select my countries, and click create audience. And now I've got a lookalike that contains people who are similar to those that have already watched 95% or more of my videos in the last 12 months. All right, so you've just seen how to create your custom audiences, how to then set up lookalike audiences based off them, and now all you need to do is go and set up your campaigns and ad sets to target those brand new lookalikes. as I said, start with the customer list first. If you don't have that, work up the funnel until you find a custom audience that does contain at least 500 people, and start with that for your first lookalike, and then work back down the funnel closer to your customer list as you get more leads and customers coming through your business. Now, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a like for me. It really helps the channel grow, tells me that you enjoy this type of content, and I know to keep creating more of it. Also, hit the subscribe button and the little bell to make sure you never miss a video on Facebook advertising or digital marketing, because you'll get notified every time I release a new one. Again, thanks for watching. Appreciate you taking the time, and I'll see you in the next video.